way. Just like I can look you in the face.
Ladies and gentlemen, what is going on, lads? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be reacting to Currences. Currences is not a word. Well, maybe Currences. Currents 2018 EP, I Let the Devil In. Now this one has been highly requested. I say that about pretty much every album, but this one, anything Currents related, is always highly requested, lads. So today we're going to be checking it out. Like I said, it came 1 year after The Place I Feel Safest, which was the last reaction we did. And to be honest, I haven't even really gone back to that at all because I've still been trying to come to terms with how good The Way It Ends is. So I don't really have any update on that one, to be honest. I was listening to The Place I Feel Safest on the way home on the train, and I was kind of like, I actually really don't know any of the tracks in this. I went back to Another Life straight away because I remembered how good that one was. But as for everything else, I wouldn't really be too familiar with the album because I just haven't had time to go around to it, because The Way It Ends is just literally being on rotation like consistently. So guys, I only realized while I was also on the way home, I checked the length of the album, and it's like 20 minutes long. Obviously it says 38 on Spotify, but that's because it has the instrumental tracks at the end of it as well. So it's only half that length, like 19 minutes long. So I was pleasantly surprised, but also kind of disappointed. Obviously the more currents we can get, the better, but Warzone 2 dropped today. So I was like, right, you know, I need to get on that as well. And like, you know, time's running short. So, you know, I get more currents songs to my playlist, and I also get to be on Warzone a little bit sooner as well with all the boys. So guys, we're going to be jumping into them today. Please do drop a like in it. Also, this is going to be potentially the last video you see on this channel on this current production, because I'm expecting the arrival of my new Sony FX30 camera. Now, for anyone who isn't into the camera scene, who's not a nerd, I'm not really that big into the camera scene either, but I am gradually getting into it, you know, over the last few months with researching cameras. And also one of my close pals is also a cinematographer by trade, so he's very into cameras, and he stuttered. He didn't stutter, I stuttered, but he suggested that I go with the Sony FX30 for a new upgrade. So guys, that is a cinema line camera. For anyone who's interested, just look it up and look what it can do. It's gonna be fucking incredible. Obviously it might take a while before I can get all the like settings down to make it look really nice, but I'd say just by default it's gonna look class. It's gonna be a massive upgrade from what we currently have, which is already pretty good, but like this is gonna be like, this is Netflix approved kind of shit. So I can't wait to see what it looks like, guys. And that all came with the thanks to everyone on Patreon who supports. So guys, if anyone wants to support me on patreon.com/DrewFortune, all the procedures and all the funds that I've earned from Patreon are going directly back into the channel, guys. So guys, thank you so much for that. I cannot wait to show you guys the product and what we have created and what we will continue to create. Without any further ado, Currents, I Let the Devil In. Let's go. Fuck. Just choked on my hot chocolate there. Okay, so let me pause it real quick. That wasn't bad. It wasn't bad. I believe, from my understanding of the lyrics, it seemed like it was kind of talking about the rat race, from my understanding of what I read anyway. I lost it at the end of it there because I was kind of anticipating the breakdown and I just stopped reading the lyrics, but it did seem that it was kind of going that direction, I suppose. But yeah, not a bad track musically. Not my favorite Currents track that I've heard from a first listen, but again, as you guys know, my opinion first listen is very hard to gauge. I've changed my mind so many times on different EPs, different albums that I've heard, different singles, so it is quite hard to really nail down if I like something on a first listen. But from what I've heard so far, not bad. Like, I've definitely got like a handful of current songs that I can recall off first listen that I like instantly fell in love with. This one, not an instant hit for me, but we'll continue on.
There is nothing like the unfamiliar air. It brings me back to when the song makes sense. Better to press, staring back at death, like pushing myself down the edge of what happens next. The pain, the cause, destruction of the thought, to take account for everything I have lost. The change we saw, compelling us to run. I never said I lay all I want. Fight till there's nothing left. You have much more to give. You owe it to yourself. You owe it to yourself. There's nothing wrong with asking for help. In my head I'm a wine, falling away from my disguise. Am I dead or lost in time? I'm trying to read through the feelings that lead me to the light. We say we feel alright, but we start to feel alive. In my head I'm a wine, falling away from my disguise. There's nothing there to hold me back. I'm not defined by the days I left. I have adventures and nights. I stared into your eyes and you would tell me why. It's like to want to die. I have the heart to forget. Why outside I forget the way you strike me out. When I choose to let you in. Fight till there's nothing left. You have much more to give. You owe it to yourself. You owe it to yourself. There's nothing wrong with asking for help. In my head I'm a wine, falling away from my disguise. Am I dead or lost in time? I'm trying to read through the feelings that lead me to the light. We say we feel alright, but we start to feel alive.
Yeah, this is gonna grow on me 100%, this part.
Wine, falling away from my disguise. Though we struggle, let's rise. That this war is not the end. My curse
Okay, so the lyrics really captivated me at the start there, but then I kind of got a little bit confused by them. I was reading them and I got the impression that he was speaking about himself, but then he was mentioning looking into your eyes, and there was a bit of like conflict in my original thought where I was thinking, okay, maybe he's talking about himself and not giving up on himself, which is one of the lines in the song, you know, you've got more to give, don't give up on yourself. But then he was like, when I look into your eyes, blah, 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 he said something along those lines. So I was kind of like, okay, maybe he's actually giving this advice to someone else. But then he kind of reverted back and was like, now I understand the pain. So I think maybe he kind of was speaking about himself all along, but using a friend or someone else as the example as to how he kind of reflected on himself. So yeah, I won't look too deep into the lyrics right now, but so far I haven't like massively been drawn to anything musically. I feel like that chorus will probably be catchy if I listen to it a few more times. But other than that, not bad again, not bad. Again, similar to the first track, like hasn't been massively catching me, but it's always hard. It's hard to know. It's hard to know first listen. So we will not overanalyze it and we'll continue on. But I'm liking the lyrics. I'm liking the storytelling. I feel like this is just going to be one of them albums that I'm coming back to you guys in like 2 or 3 weeks time and I'm like, lads, I was wrong. or not even wrong, because it's just honesty at this point in my listening experience of what I've heard so far. I believe The Rope is one of the comments that I've seen a lot of people saying this is the best track, blah, blah, blah. But so far, I'm like, I think it's one of these, it's another case of bands setting the standard so high that it can be quite hard sometimes to go in like a different order, because again, I feel like, and I would imagine that it seems to be general consensus that the best album that these guys have produced, I know it seems to be quite tight between The Place I Feel Safest and The Way It Ends, but I would say that based on like popularity of like, from what I've seen in like comment suggestions and just even like feedback on the videos, I think The Way It Ends is their crown jewel at the moment. Now that's not to say that all these albums can't be straight bangers as well. Like The Place I Feel Safest was very good, but like having started on The Way It Ends, it's such a like high bar to set. So anything after that, I'm kind of expecting like similar tracks, and I'm not going in like, I suppose, only accepting that level. It's just more so like that's just what you're programmed to kind of expect from their sound. But yeah, like it's not to say that it's bad or anything, but it's just nothing right now is massively grabbing me. But then again, I don't know, I suppose like, for example, Better Days, when I heard that, like I did kind of like, I fucked with it a lot when I first heard it, to be fair. Like I've gone back to my reaction a few times just to kind of be like, did I really like that as much as I do now? Because that is like my number one track at the moment. Well, actually, maybe Holy Hell by Architects is right now, because I'm trying to learn that, so I just have that implanted in my brain. But Better Days was like for a good like 3 weeks straight. It was just all I listened to every single day. So, but like at the time I liked it, but it wasn't to the extent that I ended up liking it, because having like edited the video and like gone back and listened to it back a few times, I was like, it just started like really clicking with me, and that overall sound was so unique to me at the time. So now I've kind of become a little bit more accustomed to the overall sound, not just Currents. It doesn't have that like same impact on me instantly. So I am always going to be in that kind of weird, like, you know, some people may have started from the very beginning of Currents' journey and like followed them through and watched them progress. So you've had time to kind of like let each project sit along the way. Whereas I'm getting in at like a very, very highly touted album. And that's the first album that I was suggested from these guys. So I'm guessing based on, you know, that's popularity wise, that's generally why I would get the most recommendations for a certain album to start with, is because it's the most popular. It's the best album. So that's kind of where I'm at. Like, it's not bad so far, but it did get very highly touted. And I think because I just have had, you know, prior experience with what I would consider be their best album that I've heard so far, it's always going to be a tough one. So yeah, but again, look, I keep saying it, things change, and I'm sure in 2 weeks time, 3 weeks time, might have a different opinion. So we will finish this one off. I think this is the last one. Second time we've got this style of vocals. Is this Brian? I think it's Brian Will or Brian Willie. This is what I was laughing about in the way it ends. It doesn't sound like him. But again, it's a different like cadence that he's delivering. Oh, that's heavy. Yeah, this is the best track so far. I don't think that is Brian. I had Better Day vibes with the outro. There's so many different layers going on. Come on.
Just like I look you in the face without waiting for the rope. If it were wrapped around my neck, you just sit back and watch me choke. Yeah, just sit back and watch me choke.
Oh, I'd love for that to keep going. Shit. That's a, yeah, that outro slapped. I thought that was the last track, but I guess not. We're going again. The riffs are progressively getting better.
Time has come.
Boom. We're lost. Okay, so this is just the restart of the album on the instrumental version. So guys, to compare all three that I've heard so far, so The Way It Ends being first, The Place I Feel Safe is second, and now this. So let me just remind myself, or remind you guys of where my thoughts were with both albums. Now, I can't really, I suppose, elaborate on my thoughts with The Place I Feel Safest, because like I said at the start of the video, I haven't really gone back to it much, to be honest, because I have spent so much time like continuously going back to The Way It Ends. You guys would have seen, if you've been watching my last few videos, or like pretty much every video since I've reacted to The Way It Ends, when I finish up that album, by default Spotify just keeps playing Better Days by Currents, because it's obviously, I've just been listening to it so much, it's like, oh, he's clearly going to want to listen to it again. So when an album actually finishes, it just like picks a new song for me, and it always puts it on to Currents The Way It Ends, or sorry, Currents Better Days. You guys will have noticed it, because sometimes I'll be finishing up like I just did there, and it'll skip to the next track after the album's finished, and it'll come on. So making that point to basically say that I have just spent so much time with The Way It Ends. So can't really elaborate with The Place I Feel Safest. So I remember at the time when I finished up that album, I'd kind of said that I feel like the riffs in The Place I Feel Safest were probably, I don't want to say stronger, because I think overall The Way It Ends is such an S tier album. It's hard to fault it on anything, but I think if you had to really like go riff for riff across the board, maybe like more traditional metalcore riffs, I think The Place I Feel Safest is maybe just edges it over The Way It Ends, but I think The Way It Ends does it better with like the kind of Thal metalcore blend. So to bring this album or this EP into the equation, a lot of people had like highly touted this and said that, you know, this is their best work because it's just banger after banger after banger. And I would maybe agree for the last two tracks. I would say it's like back-to-back bangers, but the first three or so, I don't know, like they didn't really click on me again. And again, this is like a digestible project which I can listen to in 20 minutes. So I can definitely spin this a lot more times, and I'm sure it'll probably start to fall into place, especially with more context with, you know, reading the lyrics. I kind of listened to the first two tracks quite passively with reading the lyrics, and then I kind of just started banging my head for the last two. So I didn't really like follow the whole storyline, the whole plot. And it makes a massive difference when you can understand the story and the emotion that's trying to be, you know, portrayed with the storytelling as along with the instrumentals. So yeah, I would say that this album feels like, maybe from a melody standpoint, I would say it's below The Way It Ends. I'd say it's quite a step down from The Way It Ends. I think The Way It Ends has like by far the best melody and the best melodic hooks, which is massive for me in music. And then I would say it's a step down from the riffage to a certain extent. Now again, it's packed into a smaller EP, but again, I feel like that gives it more reason to be chunkier riffs, which there was definitely moments in it like I was banging my head a lot to it there, but there was nothing that like made me like turn my face inside out with like how disgusting it was. So again, maybe I'll come around to that a little bit more. I did think the outro chorus was going to be quite catchy. As soon as it ended, I was kind of already replaying it in my head. So we will come back around to it, lads, at some point, and we'll do our kind of like roundup. Well, I'll be doing the Patreon podcast at the end of the month, so anyone who wants to get involved and see my roundup for all of the albums throughout the month, and we'll do a Q&A section as well, where you guys can ask any questions that you may have not got an answer to on the YouTube comment section. But yeah, like I would say, rating wise, this is going to be a I rated the other two so highly. Like I'd still put like The Way It Ends is up there, man, like 9.5, like 9.9. I'd put it up so highly. Like I love that album. The Place I Feel Safest, I can't even remember what rating I gave it, so just assume whatever rating I gave it is what I am still going with. And then this one, I would say it's got to be like I'd say like a 7.5, 8 right now. But again, take everything I've said with a pinch of salt. I do highly, you know, respect the comments that I get. That is why, you know, I put everything that you guys suggest into a poll, and we decide on that, and we go, you know, by your suggestions, because I've gotten so much good music from you guys. So generally, when you guys say an album slaps, although I may not agree with you instantly first listen, I'm gonna take your word for it and say at some point I'm probably gonna come back around to this album and say, yeah, I mean this EP, and say, yeah, that absolutely is unbelievable. So look, time will tell, lads. We will leave it there for the moment though. If you did enjoy, please do leave a like on the video. Like I said, this might be the last time you see this camera, so everyone kiss goodbye to the camera, or not the camera, but the overall aesthetic. Actually, do you know what? This camera isn't going anywhere, so we might even have two different angles going on. I'm going to see what Mr. You know, what I can do, Mr. Producer. So yeah, lads, thank you so much for watching the video. Like I said, if you did enjoy, please do let me know by leaving a like. We've been having an ongoing battle with the algorithm lately, so I'd appreciate if you guys can leave a like and show some love in this video. Leave a comment. What is your favorite track on the album? Keep calling it an album. You get what I'm trying to say. An EP. Guys, make sure you're sub to the channel. Patreon.com/DrewFortune if you want to support. All the links will be in the description. Thank you so much for watching. I'm signing out. Look after yourselves. See you in the next one. Cheers.
Just like it broke you in